Alright, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. So, today is the 28th. Not really much to talk about. Should start holding the rail now. So, recently the left kneecap is pretty sure the left kneecap is chilling now. It's really just the right ankle that is the last tiny bit thing. But again, I don't want to break it. So, we're just gonna have to walk again. It is what it is. I'm getting used to the walks. It's not really good though. I would prefer getting used to running, but it's okay. Yesterday we had to actually eat a bit more food, so today we're going to be a lot more full. Yesterday, the steak, I had to eat a steak yesterday apparently, so no protein today. I ate the protein yesterday. That's alright. We actually ate the veggies as well yesterday too, but we could eat more veggies today. So let's go full speed. What is this demonic music video? What the hell? What is this demonic music video? There's a straight up demonic music video happening on the screen. What is this, a ritual? This is a straight up demonic thing. Okay, that's just straight up demonic. Cool. I don't even look at it anymore. Disgusting. They got like these. They're doing karmic retribution stuff. They're showing it to you now. So yeah, I don't know what the hell kind of. That's just straight up demonic. They're just straight up showing signs. Whatever. We're actually gonna go 5 speed right now. So we're gonna go 5 speed for as long as until we're gonna go 5 speed either all the way or until the ankle isn't very good. So I'm not gonna give my word this time. Just gonna do 5 speed until my ankle says that stop. 5 speed's not even half what we do. If we really wanted to do half, we go 6. I really need to start wearing earbuds or something. I think for treadmill I might. Oh no, but if I'm gonna be running, I don't listen to anything while running either. Matter of fact, when we're running, we can't even do anything except just run. That's it. Can't even think. Can't even listen. Can't even talk. Okay, at 11 minutes, we're gonna have to stop and slow down a bit because the right ankle is already bugging again. That's a shame, but it is what it is. Right ankle is kind of. I blacked out there for a bit. Alright, we're not even going 5 speed anymore. We had to stop going at 5 speed because the right ankle started messing up again. So it would be wise to just let it rest again. So I'll admit that this is pretty boring. No wonder I keep trying to go to sleep. I shouldn't be drinking water. I should because we're not running. But when we're running in, we're gonna have to. When we run, we pretty much just have to drink a bit of water at the beginning, and then that's it. Because when we run, we cannot drink any water. Should have slept earlier, by the way. I slept at like 8:30, and right now, I mean, we woke up naturally, but still, it's like late. Honestly, the best method is to seriously just sleep earlier. But we are healing. We've healed a lot. Like today, right now, it's probably the best we've felt in a while. The best the joints have felt in a while. I'm talking about the joints, not my actual feelings. My actual feelings is annoyed because I can't run. But I also understand that there is no light without dark. Now we can't go at 5 because the moment we go on 5, my right ankle is like struggling. Alright, well, note to self, we should always sleep slightly earlier because we are like sleepy. The towel fell off my shoulder and I didn't even notice. Matter of fact, this entire morning has just felt like a dream. Like, no talking, it's just this entire morning I've been drifting in and out of consciousness. So I don't even know what's going on. I literally slept 30 minutes earlier though. That doesn't make sense. Well, no, it does make sense. It means we must heal more. The positive thing is that we actually can run out. We can walk. We can speed walk at 5 speed right now. So it's not bad. Maybe I'm just so sleepy that the pain receptors on my ankles aren't even responding. They're also asleep. Alright, that was the walking done. Pretty easy, honestly. Workout summary 157 calories. We're walking around 5 speed most of the time, but today was just in and out of consciousness. So our elapsed time was 44 minutes. Because we did wake up slightly earlier today, like 10 minutes early. Distance 3.13, so that's basically half of what we usually do, and the average pace is that, but that doesn't really matter because at the beginning we were walking slow, and in between we were also walking slow. So yeah, I mean, again, the joints are definitely a lot better than last time. Like we can finally do 5 speed again. We just can't push it too much, but definitely we're getting there. We're definitely getting there, and it's quite nice because we can start running again. The walking is super boring, but we really need to get more sleep. Really got to do that. Right, y'all know the deal. We just basically stretch and then we can do the dips. Do the dips, do the water. And honestly, there's not really much to talk about. Really, it's not much to talk about. We didn't even say anything today. I think that's just what happens. You guys already know the drill. That's what happens when we've had like multiple consecutive days of just talking. There's always that one day where it's just calm again. I think next year, well, once we get back into motion, not motion, but like once we start getting to things again, we're definitely going to be streaming a lot more. Just saying, definitely we're going to be streaming quite a lot more. We'll be talking a lot more as well. But for now, we're just not right now. But soon, we'll be doing a lot more streaming. Yeah, we'll be doing like a lot more streaming. Definitely. Add to the lore. We could also do creations. I'm not really like a person that makes music, but I am a person that that can craft stories and I can easily craft and fabricate lots of things. So today we don't even need any protein. I know there's still going to be a little bit of protein, but gotta drink a lot of water. I think we're going to be dropping weight again soon because the rice, we don't have any more rice. Actually, no, we'll be heavier today because, like I said yesterday, no, like I said this morning, or I'll say it now, We had the steak yesterday. Golden Hour is still looking the best. It's like still less than, it's still one digit. That's insane. Not really. I'm trying to push myself here with a bit more dips than usual per minute. There really is not much to talk about. Perhaps it's just, again, it's just, it's one of those days, you know? It is just one of those days. One of those days where, I mean, nothing really bad is happening. It's just one of those days where it's like nothing to talk about. Like, I had that NCS video playlist mix that I crafted. Well, again, the music isn't what I didn't craft the music. I just crafted everything else. I think last time I checked, there was like 400 viewers. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Again, I respect anyone that is here in the mornings. You know, yeah, mornings are just still so good. Everyone just cares about themselves. It's perfect, as things should be. Yeah, really, it's nothing to talk about. I really can't think of anything to talk about. It's like just only thing I can really talk about is that I really need to get the arc thing done. It's just that perhaps again, I think I've said this many times already, but it's really just velocity. There's no more acceleration in the game. It's really just the grinding phase. The water's done as well, so we'll go check our weight soon. Yeah, really is nothing to talk about. The only thing that really is like interesting is sometimes the Mr. Nightmare videos get me hyped up. I mean, of course I could say Mr. Nightmare, but there's obviously more than just Mr. Nightmare, so obviously we could probably look into that, but you know, he's just good. There's just so many stories and just basic horror. I should make stories, not stories, but like I need to figure out a way to animate them, not animate them, like draw it. Probably just hand sketch write them is probably gonna be the best outcome. No point in using any other kind of tools. Yeah, but I'll look into it later in the future. But there are definitely lots of stories I could easily fabricate. I think it's because just in general, I'm a creator, not a consumer. So if I ever read like manga or watch an anime or even watch someone play games, right? I always just get that sense to just do it myself. That's why I played Ark, because I saw someone play Ark for like 100 days. And I was like, hey, I think I could do better and do it in my own way. But didn't. Anyways, even still recording, I didn't even check. We are going to be slightly heavier because we did eat the protein the previous day, so it is what it is. But again, it's not really on your eyes, so it actually still dropped. Yeah, I kind of got jump scared, I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't paying attention. 68.75, so already dropped. Huh, strange. Got jump scared there for a bit from, yeah, it's all good though. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it. By the way, yesterday in the afternoon, I was feeling very, very toned in the afternoon. Like, the upper body's toneness is like, just, it's insane. Really, it's just the lower abdomen part. Right, appreciate it, y'all. Not really sure if I should give you anything today. Uh-huh. Really depends on the context of the video. Usually I just put everything in Earth log. Think we might just do that.
Alright, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the evening, it's actually lunchtime, but, you know, I've thought we might as well finish those Christmas stories, yeah? Nearly the end of the year. Wow, Mr. Naimi has gone absolutely crazy. Dude, he's already gone with the New Year's Eve horror things, what? Goat. The goat. Anyways, I think it was 2 days ago or something, we were doing the true Christmas horror stories, was it? I think it was the horror ones, right? Yeah, so we did one, so we got 3 more to go, so we might as well do them today. Alright? Is it the same one? Yeah, okay, it's the same one. Okay. So we listened to story 1 yesterday, or not yesterday, but just whenever we did the previous one. First story was just about a guy who, you know, we need to keep an eye on him, but he didn't, so he failed. So let's go with story 2. Where is it? Here you go, story 2.
Is about my
Story 2. Alright, here we go. Let's go. Let's do it.
This story is about my Christmas experience from about 10 years ago. I was
6 years old. Alright, 6 years old. Alright, 6 years old.
years old, since my birthday was in November.
Okay.
I had just finished celebrating.
How do you remember this story when you're 6 years old, though? Whatever.
Now we were getting ready for the holiday. My birthday celebration happened on the same day as the famous Odell Beckham Jr. catch.
Don't know who that is.
I lived with Cowboys fans, but I was a Giants fan.
I love
I
that.
remember it being talked about for the rest of the night, and even during my birthday celebration. It was an eventful birthday week, and I'm surprised I remember all of this since I was only 6.
Yeah, facts.
I
6.
didn't understand football, but I understood that the catch was crazy, so I was just living in the moment and happy it was my birthday, like any other kid.
Okay.
For my birthday, I got tickets to the Mavs-Wizards NBA game on December 30th. I was a Cavaliers fan, but since we lived in DFU outside of Dallas, I knew a lot of Mavs fans.
I don't know anything about basketball or sport fans. I knocked my monitor recently and now I can't really see my face. What's wrong with this thing? Did I have it more on an angle or... I feel like I've managed to scuff my... Oh, there you go. Now it's fine.
I was a small fan myself, so I was grateful. It was going to be my first NBA game. Christmas Day was 5 days before, and I got a brand new Odell Beckham Jr. jersey and a Mavericks shirt and sweatshirt as I was becoming a sports fan. I had a great Christmas, but one of my Christmas gifts was another Mavs game, which was on December 27th against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was so excited to go
How
to
do you
both
know all this?
games.
Whatever.
The day came and we went to the game. The Mavs won a close one, something like 112 to 105. It was crazy to see an event like that in an
Yo, how
NBA.
does he remember that? He's only 6 years old. I thought he was just there for the fun.
Arena for the first time. We left the game and drove home, which was maybe 45 minutes away from the American Airlines Center. The next couple of days were normal, but I was excited to go back to that amazing stadium and atmosphere. This time we went again. I didn't know it would be the last time I went for years.
What?
At the last game, we had nice seats.
Yep.
Like 7 rows from the court and in the middle.
Okay.
This time, we were maybe row 20 and in a corner area, so the
R.I.P.
experience was different. The game was going well, and I was enjoying it. The Mavs were killing them by like 20 to 30 points at halftime. Since I was a child, I wanted to roam around and get food and go to the bathroom by myself.
What?
I was with my parents and only 6 years old,
Yeah.
so my parents and I walked to get some food.
Okay.
We waited in line for maybe 20 minutes. My dad went to another restaurant inside the arena to get different food, and I stayed with my brother, who was waiting in line to pay. As we talked to the
How old is your brother, though? That's the question. How old's your brother? Because if it's just 2 kids, that's El Dad right there. El Dad. But if the brother's older, then it's fine.
worker, I walked away to throw out some of the candy.
Sorry, what?
As we talked to the worker, I walked away to throw out some of the candy they bought me before the game. I walked to a trash can maybe 30 feet away. As I got there, this tall white man came up to me and asked, "Hey, are you lost?"
Who's the brother? What? Yo, if you're the older brother, hold your brother by the collar, like by the jacket, and be like, you're not going anywhere. Don't go. Stay here. Why would you wander off? He's a kid, 6 years old, by the way. You should like grab the child's jacket and be like, hey, wait for me. Don't like wander off, especially in public. Oh my goodness.
I shook my head and didn't say anything. He said he didn't see my parents around and told me, let's go look, as he grabbed my hand and walked with me. I was just a kid, so I walked with him.
Who's the
He
brother?
took me toward the nosebleeds and said we were going to the intercom so they could announce my name and find my parents. I said okay and kept walking. We got to the top and we waited for about 10 minutes. He waited until the coast was clear and then tried pushing me towards the emergency stairs or elevator. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember there was no one around. Then I remembered stranger danger, and the guilt and fear started sinking in. I realized I shouldn't go with this man. He didn't have any credentials. When he let go of my hand to go check his phone, I ran all the way back to the stands. As I ran, I saw him standing there with a small grin on his face. I couldn't find my parents, but I didn't care. I just wanted to be somewhere safe. I found my brother, who hadn't told my parents he lost me because he didn't want to get in trouble. He asked if I was okay, and I said yes, choosing not to say anything. The game ended and the Mavs won, but I didn't care. I just wanted to go home. As we exited, I was quiet. When we got in the car, I was also quiet. My parents seemed confused that I didn't seem energetic, but I told them I was tired. As we drove home, I almost fell asleep, but then a loud honk screeched behind us.
What?
It was so loud I almost screamed. I turned around, and there he was. The same man driving a truck with maybe 3 other men inside. I couldn't tell who they were, just silhouettes. My parents yelled at them from our car when they pulled up next to us, but the men just stared. I wanted to say something so badly, but for some reason I didn't. When we got home, I went right to sleep and passed out fast. In the middle of the night, I woke up with chills. I noticed a light flashing at my window.
Yo, the story's not ending. The story's not ending. The story's not ending. What? You're telling me that that guy watched a kid go to his parent? Oh no. I don't know what you were doing in that scenario, to be honest. He's 6 years old. He didn't even tell his brother. He didn't even tell his parents. So the brother and parents have absolutely no idea that these men are trying to get the child. Some context is missing, though, I will be honest. Because, I mean, the kid's only 6 years old, so you can't exactly remember it, right? But the moment the 3 guys pulled up with the truck and, like, I don't know, got on a road rage or honked the horns, right? As the father who's driving the car, you should probably keep an eye out to make sure they don't follow you all the way home. Because you said it's a 45-minute drive, right? So how did they follow you? I mean, again, this kid is 6 years old, so he can't exactly say the right context, but I would assume that the father kind of has to take responsibility, because if you really live 30-40 minutes away drive, then during your ride there, you should at least know if you're being followed or not. You know what I mean? Just saying.
I looked out, expecting something innocent, Santa Claus or something, but instead saw that man standing out there, shining a flashlight into my bedroom window. I screamed and ran to my parents' room, telling them someone was at my window as if it were a first-story window. They rushed outside and searched for maybe 20 minutes. They didn't find anything, and since I was a kid, they didn't believe me. They said it must have been a shadow from a car, but I know what I saw. On New Year's Eve, a couple days later, we were staying up until midnight to watch the ball drop. We were about 5 or 6 minutes away from midnight when the doorbell rang. My parents answered it. I didn't pay attention until I heard the man's voice, and I was 100% sure it was him. I told my parents, but they didn't believe me. I told them at the game he brought me to the high level, and I ran away and escaped. But they still didn't believe me. They said it was just a man handing out lost dog flyers for his cousin's dog. The night went on, and I was fine. But then a year later, on New Year's Eve,
Okay, nah, this kid has to be tripping. Even I believe the parents now. He's tripping. Kid's tripping, man. Kid's tripping. 1 year later. Hold on now, like what? 1 year later? He's tripping. He's tripping. I'ma assume that that man actually did a bit more than the kid's saying in the story. I'm sure that he did something different. I'm sure the guy... there has to be something going on with this kid. No joke. I bet that wasn't the whole story. He's holding back the story. Because he said the man took him up to the high levels and then he ran away and escaped, right? I know for a fact that that man definitely said something to that child that the child doesn't want to say in the story. Or did something. Because he's tripping or something, you know?
there was a knock at my bedroom window. Keep in mind, I had forgotten about the situation. I got up and looked, and there was a piece of paper on the window that said, "This new year, you'll meet me again." I gave my parents the note, and they filed a report, but they never heard anything back. Every couple of years, I get terrified of New Year's Eve, thinking that man will come back.
There's no way a guy would go through that much effort. I don't know, man. The story here, tripping. And there's not really much you can do about it, to be honest. This story here is really something you can't do much about. You know, it's like, well, first of all, you know, if you're the older brother or parent, obviously don't let your 6-year-old child just walk away in public, right? That's stupid. And then, I mean, you can't really blame the parents for not believing the child because the child didn't even say anything. And, you know, the story is so out of context that the man at the stadium, the man in the truck, and the man handing out flyers could be 3 separate dudes. That seems a bit more realistic, and the kid's just tripping, thinking it's the same guy. And of course, the note after 1 year later, that probability really just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's a bit, you know, it's like 1 year later, dude. The guy, if that guy's a professional kidnapper, he probably would have got a bit more like someone else later, you know? It's like, just doesn't seem really worth it.
I told my parents I never want to go back to an NBA game, saying it wasn't my thing. But now I'm 16, and it scares me that the man knows where I live. I'm considering going to the Cavs vs. Mavs game on January 2nd or 3rd, which would be my first game since then, but I'm not sure. This experience scared me away from basketball and made me...
This is why I suspect that within the story, the storyteller himself, he's gatekeeping something. He's hiding something in the story, because he can't be this terrified from that experience, right? The guy must have said something to him or did something, but he's just not allowed to say it on the YouTube or something, right? I'm assuming that because, you know, the story just sounds like he brought me to this isolated place and then I ran away. Oh, so he just put you to isolated place, ran away? Okay, but he's acting, but the way he's like telling the story and like trauma and everything, right? That man definitely did something different. He definitely said some words to the kid. Maybe touched him. You don't even know. But, you know, if this man's this terrified, this kid's this terrified, the experience is definitely something they're hiding. Yeah, kid's tripping or something.
always close my curtains.
Yeah, he definitely did something worse. They can't say on YouTube though. Story 3. Yeah, so story 2 you really can't do much about that story. Honestly, it's very hard to be out of context. Again, the probability of the guy at the stadium, the guy in the truck, and the guy at the front door handing out dog flyers, there's a very higher chance that those 3 people were definitely separate, because nothing really bad happened, right? Unless the kid is hiding some extra law that happened during the stadium. So I'm assuming that they're definitely hiding some law, right? Kids tripping, hiding some law, but at the end, what? 6 years old, almost got kidnapped. Yes, that story you really can't do much about that story, honestly. Just don't leave your kids alone, but sometimes kids be tripping.
I remember this night way too clearly. And even now, I think about how close my family came to something really terrible. It was early December. We decided to drive up north into the mountains to cut down a real Christmas tree.
What?
It was something my wife Marianne and I always wanted to do.
Okay.
And our 7-year-old son Andrew
Okay, so this guy is an adult male with a wife and a 7-year-old son. Okay.
was excited about it too. The weather was cold and cloudy, and the sky had that heavy look where it feels like snow is always about to fall again. To us, that added to the Christmas vibe. The whole ride up the winding roads made me feel like a kid again. It was a while since I'd done something this unique and in the Christmas spirit, and having Andrew so excited about it just brought me back to my youth. When we finally reached the remote area Marianne found online, there were no other cars around in the parking area. There were a bunch of light posts scattered around, so we weren't in pitch black darkness if you were wondering. That's why we picked the place. Still, we did bring flashlights.
So how dark is this place? How dark is this place? Are you doing this in like the night?
There were Marianne found online. There were no other cars around in the parking area. There were a bunch of light posts scattered around, so we weren't in pitch black darkness.
Why are you there so late in the dark? Because wouldn't you want to be there when the light posts are off and there's like, you know, visibility? Why are you bringing flashlights and stuff? Are you even allowed to do it? I don't even know.
If you were wondering, that's why we picked the place.
You picked the right
we did
place,
bring
but
flashlights.
you didn't go at the right time?
We parked by a small, unmarked path that led deeper into the trees. There was a lot of snow on the ground still from the snowfall we got a few days earlier, and up this high, the snow took even longer to melt. Andrew jumped out of the car right away and started throwing snowballs at us, so I started throwing them back. We were here to have fun, so of course I was going to try to make it as memorable as possible for Andrew.
Uh-oh.
I grabbed our flashlights and the axe that I planned to use to chop down a tree. We walked up the narrow path.
Sorry, are you doing this at nighttime or like what? Did I miss some context here? But like, what you doing at so late? We need to find the context though, for real, no joke.
My family came to something really way too clearly. I remember this night.
So it's literally nighttime. I remember this night. Why are you cutting down a tree at nighttime? What's wrong with you? GG, it's over. Nighttime. Not gonna lie, I got a bit deceived because when he's talking about the story, look at the image. This looks like bright daylight, right? It's like, oh, you know, I thought the story is daylight, but now we're going here and it's all of a sudden dark.
Andrew kept running ahead, stopping to.
Sorry, did I miss? Okay,
There was a
snowball
lot
fight.
of snow on the ground still from the snowfall we
Yeah,
got
so
a few
snowball
days
fight.
earlier. And up this high, the snow took even longer to melt.
Okay.
Andrew jumped out of the car right away and
Yep,
started throwing
snowballs.
snowballs. Of course, I was going to try to make it as memorable as
snowballs.
possible for
Okay.
Andrew. I grabbed our flashlights and the axe that I planned to use
Why
to
doing
chop
this at
down a
night?
tree.
Why are you doing this at
Walked
night
up
though?
the narrow path with snow crunching under our boots. Andrew kept running ahead, stopping to point at trees he thought might be perfect. The deeper we went, the more the road behind us disappeared, and the only light came from the faint moon glowing behind the thick clouds. It was so quiet that I even asked Marianne and Andrew to stop for a second, just to really take it in. There was not a single sound, maybe a light breeze, that was it. To be honest, if I had been there alone, I'd have been slightly creeped out just off the silence and darkness alone.
If you wouldn't go there alone by yourself, why would you bring your wife and kid? That doesn't make sense. No? No, that doesn't make sense. If you wouldn't go there alone, what makes you think bringing your wife and child is any better? That makes it worse. Because if you're not confident alone there, why would you bring two liabilities along with you? That's like the most dumbest logic ever, no? That has to be dumb logic right there. If you're afraid to go there alone, what makes you think bringing two liabilities with you is a good idea? That's just retarded. Matter of fact, this whole story is weird. Why are you in the woods at night? Why are you bringing your family and son? Your wife and son? It's in the snow in the hills at night. You need a flashlight. You need an axe. You're walking down...
As we walked deeper onto the trail, we had to utilize the flashlights we brought, all three of us. Andrew was having a lot of fun with the flashlight until the light from the parking lot was no longer visible.
What?
It was now basically total darkness outside of the flashlights. He started to get a little nervous, evidently, because he asked how far we were gonna go.
Yeah.
He made a comment on the darkness. I kept feeling like someone was watching us or like something was walking behind us, but every time I turned around, there was nothing but the empty snowpath. About 10 minutes in, we finally found a spot where the trees were tall and full. Andrew ran around them in circles looking for the best one. Marianne stayed closer to me and whispered that she wanted to pick a tree fast because she had a weird feeling too.
Oh, you don't say. We walked 10 minutes into the darkness in the middle of the night to cut down a tree. It just blows my mind, really. It's like, what? What are you doing?
I got exactly what she meant. This was a lot creepier than I had imagined. Right then, I heard soft crunching behind us.
GG. Probably a
It
moose.
wasn't any of us, nor was it an animal.
Oh.
It sounded like boots crunching the snow.
Oh, that's even
but
worse.
Very slowly.
Not a human.
Sneaking like. When I turned around, I saw a man in dark clothes, standing about 20 feet back on the path. He wasn't dressed for the weather. His hands were bare and red from the cold. His jacket looked more like a windbreaker. His face looked pale and stiff, like he'd been out in the cold for way too long. Marianne grabbed Andrew's arm to pull him closer. When the man noticed we were looking at him, he suddenly smiled in an off-putting way and stepped closer.
Yup.
He asked if we were looking for a Christmas tree. His voice breaking the already unsettling silence.
Well,
was
you got an X.
uncomfortable.
You got an
His
extra.
voice was deep and kind of soft.
You got an extra.
Before I could say anything, Andrew answered yes,
What?
excited again.
Shut up, kid.
And I felt a jolt of panic because I didn't want this man knowing anything about us. Marianne quickly told him no, that we were just walking. The man stepped closer again, and the way he moved made every hair on my arm stand up. He told us not to worry because he wasn't a park ranger. He said it like he could tell exactly why we lied, because admittedly, what we were doing was super.
It's illegal. Super illegal. Is that why you're doing it at nighttime? Okay, so it's illegal to cut down a tree as well. So that's why you're doing it at nighttime. Huh. Huh.
Illegal. I didn't want to talk to him at all. Something was wrong with him. He looked hungry or desperate or like he hadn't slept in days. I guess, for lack of a better word, he looked homeless. I told Marianne we should head back to the car, and she nodded, gripping Andrew's jacket. When we started walking past the man, he stood by, smiling and watching, giving slight nods as if to say goodbye as we walked. Andrew kept turning around, asking if the man was following, and we told him to stay facing forward. Every time I looked back, the man was a little bit closer than before.
What?
Even though I didn't hear him speed up. I whispered to Marianne that when we reached the main road, we had to run to the car. She held Andrew's hand tighter and nodded without looking back. The man's steps stayed behind us the whole time.
Sorry, if the guy's following you and it takes 10 minutes to walk to your spot, you know, call him out on it? No? You got an X though, right? You got an X? You know? You got an X? You know? You got an X, right? Right? You brought the X with you, right? 10 minutes to walk to the spot and he's following you. GG.
Dragging a little, like his boots were too big or too heavy. Once we
Let me guess. The car tires are slashed. Oh, it's slashed. Car tires are slashed, right? Probably. Probably? Probably.
got close enough to see the gap in the trees where the car was parked, I told them to go. Marianne lifted Andrew and ran as fast as she could. The only reason I felt even remotely safe was because of the axe in my hand.
Hey.
But I'm not a violent person, and I've never had to resort to violence in my entire life. I turned around to block the path behind us for even just a second. The man had stopped walking and was just staring at me.
1v1.
Put his hands up halfway, still smiling. And then he said, "I mean no harm. Why don't you get back to your truck now?" And I felt my heart skip a beat as he said this. He said truck, like he knew we came in a pickup truck.
Tires are slashed. Tires are slashed.
I replied back simply that we don't want any trouble. Then I turned and started hurrying back down to the lot.
Tires are slashed.
Halfway there, Marianne screamed my name, sounding panicked. Oh no.
Tires slashed.
When I got to the truck, she showed me that both right side tires were punctured.
Told you.
I didn't have time to examine it for long to realize it was him. I told Marianne to call 911 immediately, but she struggled to find service at first. She walked around the snowy lot for a bit until there was reception. She never strayed too far away. I had Andrew wait in the truck, who was now clearly concerned as he watched Marianne and I freaking out. He was old enough to know something bad was happening. Marianne seemed to be having a hard time on the phone, so I took it and explained our location and that we felt threatened by a random man in the woods who may have potentially been responsible for the tires. Given the potentially unstable individual in the vicinity, and the fact that we had a child with us, police were taking this very seriously and told me to keep my family locked in the truck until police arrive and that a tow truck will be sent as well. I was instructed to keep the operator on the line while we waited, but eventually the line started getting choppy, cutting out at moments because of the poor reception. Then, Marianne suddenly screamed in my ear to look and pointed towards the tree line by the path we were on. There were multiple people standing just...
It's over. Oh, it's more than over. It's doomed. The family's gone. How do you survive? You know what? Maybe you shouldn't have decided to, you know... Honestly, I still blame the father 100%. Like, okay, I don't really care about the legality of it, but... Okay, well, I guess the legality kind of inspired him to do it at nighttime, right? But, like... GG, you know? Wait, so the tires are punctured, so you can't drive back either. And that is a group of men. Yo, lost.
Beyond the tree line, I counted at least 3.
3?
They looked like shadows from where we were, which made the sight even more terrifying. It was like we were being stalked and hunted. Then 2 of the people started walking closer.
Yep.
I told the operator, and she said something that really made me uncomfortable.
Hide, run.
She asked if I had any kinds of weapons, and when I said I had the axe, she implied that if it came down to it, to use it to defend my family. By this point, Andrew was crying, and Marianne tried to calm him down. I told the operator that 2 of the figures were still walking toward the truck. They weren't running or yelling or anything. They just walked very slowly, like they knew we weren't going anywhere. The 3rd figure strangely disappeared, likely back deeper into the woods away from the light. The operator told me the police were close, but I had no idea if that meant 2 minutes or 10. I kept looking back and forth between the tree line and the road in the distance, praying to see flashing lights. I tried to talk to the operator again, but the call dropped. The second it cut off, everything felt 100 times worse. I locked the doors again, even though they were already locked. I kept my hand on the axe, gripping it so hard my knuckles hurt. As the 2 people were now within range of hearing...
Sorry, if you see them walking towards you, right? Why are you all hiding in the truck? I get the child and wife, but if you're the man, step out, hold the X, and just stand in front of the car and just look at them. Because... I mean... I don't know what you'll do in that situation, but... The guys are walking towards your truck. You have a wife and child in the back. You got an axe, but... You're tied in the seat where you can't really swing your axe, or like, you know, if they come close enough to the car, you're gonna have to push the door open and then swing the axe. Why don't you just stand outside ready with the axe? Like you mean business.
Hearing them speak, we could hear them saying, "We're here to help," as they waved their hands in the air. We didn't recognize either of them to be that guy from earlier. "Do you think they're park rangers?" Marianne asked, and I said firmly, "Not a chance." But perhaps I said it too loud, because Andrew just started crying even more, which Marianne had to try extra hard to console him. These two people approaching were dressed similarly to that first guy, aka way underdressed, and their clothes looked worn out, almost dirty, and they didn't seem bothered by the cold at all. But then, seemingly randomly, the two of them turned around and started running back in the direction they had
Yeah, because
come
of police
from.
cars, yeah.
We didn't know why just yet,
'Cause of
but it
police.
was soon clear. Never have we been so ecstatic to hear the sound of police sirens. It was getting louder fast, and eventually we saw the flashing lights coming from down the road. Coming pretty fast, actually. The police SUV entered the lot with its spotlight on, and it instantly shined in our direction. I flashed my lights to try to get the cop in the car to see the men running back into the woods. At this point, though, they were already nearly gone. But their footprints weren't. Once the SUV was next to us, two officers jumped out immediately with flashlights drawn, and I got out to basically get on my knees thanking them. I pointed in the direction the men ran. I said they disappeared into the trees like they had rehearsed where to go. The police told us to stay inside the truck while they searched, and more units showed up within minutes.
Yo, hold on.
One officer stayed
Hold on. Hey, the police force ain't messing around this one. Damn.
with us. Andrew was no longer scared, but rather once again excited at the commotion and the sight of police officers. After a long search, the police came back and told
Nothing.
us what I already knew they were gonna say.
Nothing. Couldn't
They
find
didn't
him.
find anyone, just tracks in the snow that went deep into the woods and eventually spread out in different directions. They didn't know if the people lived somewhere out there or if they were part of some kind of camp deeper in the mountains. They said sometimes drifters or squatters stay hidden in remote areas during the winter. The tow truck eventually arrived, and the police stayed around us the entire time until our truck was loaded up. We had to sit in the back of a patrol car to stay warm while they finished everything. No one really said much. Marianne held Andrew in her lap, and I just stared out the window, watching the dark tree lines, half expecting to see someone standing there again. On the ride back home, none of us talked. It was like all of us were afraid that saying anything out loud would make it real again. We didn't try to cut down a Christmas tree ever again. We didn't even go back to that mountain area.
Yeah, maybe just don't go out in the mountains at night. I'm lying though, because I would do that. I would like go out in the mountains at night, so. But I mean, you're in the mountains at night trying to get a tree. Oh man, that situation. Yeah. Definitely the man's fault, obviously. Like, why would you bring your family out into the woods at night to cut down a tree? GG. Like, it's already over. They were lucky though, because the police arrived. But, again, it's just such an avoidable situation to begin with, right? Just don't go there. They wanted a Christmas tree. That's insane. How big is a Christmas tree anyways? So they were gonna plan to cut it down in the night.
Even now, 10 years later, I refuse to go anywhere near it. To this day, what scares me the most is the thought that they had been watching us long before we even noticed them. They saw us arrive in that parking lot because they knew to strand us by slashing my tires, and they were waiting for us to go deep enough into the trees so we wouldn't make it back to the truck. We were lucky we trusted our instincts enough and decided.
You're lucky to trust your instincts enough, but not smart enough to trust your instincts from preventing the situation to begin with. What?
To leave for the truck almost right away. We were also lucky I was holding an axe, which may have dissuaded them from doing something crazy. I don't like thinking about how
True. I will agree though. The ex, I bet that the guy that met them first definitely hesitated to like do something, right? Because he got an ex. Like he was following the family slowly, right? But the fact that the husband had an ex probably made him not like just straight up get them in the woods. So like I bet the first plan was to get them in the woods, but due to the ex, he had to wait for plan B, which was wait for them to get to the car. Or wait for the mandem or something like that.
we came to potentially never going home.
that story, that story is pretty insane, not gonna lie. I'm not sure how you would really survive that. They really survive with luck. Of course, the main listeners probably don't do that at nighttime, but I'm kind of a hypocrite because I know for a fact that in my ecosystem, I would definitely go out in the middle of the night at the hills for like no reason. I would do that. But alone, not with yeah. I would probably do that still, not gonna lie. I would like go up to the hills in the middle of the night and I don't know, walk around. Record it. Cameraman doesn't die. Homeless people either run away or fight them. Tires slashed. It's the middle of the night. Snowy. Alright, last story. What's the last story yet?
I still think about this one night from when I was 9 years old.
9 years old.
It was a few days before Christmas. My parents both had things to do that night, and since I was almost 9, they felt okay leaving me.
What? GG. So Home Alone kid, 9 years old, in the house. That's already just like dumb.
Home for a little bit. My mom had to run to the grocery store to get some stuff for Christmas dinner.
Okay, why does she not bring you along? Mom had to go get groceries. Why didn't she bring you along?
And my dad...
Okay, so this is the mom's fault then. This is clearly the mom's fault already. Because she left the child at home to get groceries. Bring the child with you.
was working late like he usually did in December. I was sitting on the couch watching a Christmas movie probably and eating cookies by the fireplace and tree.
That's kind of a vibe though.
It was already dark, even though it was still...
That is kind of a vibe, not gonna lie. Fireplace, cookies, movie. Hey, that's not bad. But you're a kid though, alone, so that's not good.
Early, and I remember the Christmas lights flashing on the houses across the street. It was normal, until the doorbell rang. The only reason this made me stop and look was because it was rather late and random for someone to ring the bell.
Don't open the door.
Always told me never to answer the door when I was alone.
So this is not the first time.
Bell, obviously, since they have keys. I got up and walked to the door anyway.
He's 9 years old.
To look through the peephole. When I put my eye up to it, I saw there was a man standing on the porch wearing a Santa Claus suit. It was the full thing too. The red coat, the hat, the beard, everything.
That's crazy.
But he didn't look like a normal friendly Santa. He wasn't holding anything besides what looked like a clipboard, and he was standing way too close to the door like he was waiting for me to unlock it. I didn't know what to say at first, so I just kind of whispered, "Who is it?" The man moved his head a little closer to the door like he was trying to see through the peephole or hear me better, and in that moment, he figured out right away that I was a kid. He did, I guess, what was his best Santa impression, as he said he was Santa and that he had gifts for me, and that I should open the door.
Yo, what?
At 9 years old, I wasn't stupid, and I didn't believe in Santa anymore. My parents taught me about strangers. I told them to go away and that I didn't need anything, and I tried to sound brave, but my voice cracked. The man went silent for a second, and then he asked me if I was home alone.
Nah. No, my big brother's got like he's playing with his gun. Yeah, gun. Yeah, I've got like big brother in the living room. He's got a gun. Yeah, I'm not home alone. GG. He's gonna.
As soon as he said that, I knew to walk away. I instantly felt stupid for even letting him know I was home.
True.
I didn't answer him. I stepped
True.
back.
Hey, that is one thing the kids. True. If you're home alone and you're a kid, don't even answer the door. Just pretend you're not there. Right? Yeah.
From the door and walked fast to the living room because I suddenly felt too scared to stand near it. I sat on the couch and grabbed a pillow and stared at the TV like acting normal would make the fear go away.
Curtains?
But then I heard the doorknob twist.
Oh.
He was testing if the door was locked. I wanted to scream for help, but nobody was home. I waited and hoped he would leave. But a moment later, I heard another sound from the back of the house.
What? Yo.
It was the back doorknob twisting. It happened so fast after the front door that I bet he ran around the house to the back. That door was even weaker than the front one, and we almost never used it. I felt frozen in place, and all I could think about was that my house only had 2 doors and this man was trying both. I ran to the kitchen and grabbed the phone and dialed my mom's number. When she answered, I started talking really fast, trying not to cry. I told her someone was trying to get into the house and he was dressed like Santa. My mom got serious right away and told me she was coming home right now and that I should not open any doors no matter what. She told me to stay in the living room and keep the curtains closed. I sat on the floor behind the couch where I couldn't be seen from any windows, and I stayed completely still. I kept hearing small noises outside, like footsteps or light taps, just some forms of sounds indicating that someone was still there. Eventually, they stopped, and not long after, I heard a car pulling into our driveway, and I knew it was my mom because I recognized her squeaking brakes.
Okay, sorry, there's only 1 minute left in this video, but the mom probably should have called the police, because, like, if you think, maybe she did, but to think about it, right? Imagine if the moment the mom pulls up to the driveway, the guy's waiting for her, and then, like, just takes her out. GG. That is possible, because it sounds like the fact that the man can already go to the back door sounds like the house is pretty open, so therefore the driveway must be open. There's no gate to the backyard apparently, so seems like it's a very open house. So I'm not sure if it's that's a risky scenario. I would be very, very careful.
I stayed where I was until I heard the front door unlock and slam open. My mom came in breathing hard and holding 2 grocery bags.
What? Hold on, why are you still holding grocery bags? Okay, I mean, how are you still holding grocery bags? What? That doesn't make sense right there.
She locked the door behind her and yelled out for me, and I ran to her right away. She hugged me and then told me she had just seen a man dressed as Santa walking down our street. She said she slowed her car down when she saw him, and she yelled at him out the window asking what he was doing. The man told her he was going door to door asking for donations, but she didn't believe him for a second. She said he looked nervous, and that he walked away fast when she started yelling. My mom told me—
Okay, with that context then I understand why she walked in with the groceries.
She was proud of me for not opening the door and for calling her right away. She called the police and reported the man, and I'm sure police at the very least surveyed the area. We never found out if he was arrested or if he just disappeared into the neighborhood. 2 neighbors did say, though, that the man knocked on their doors asking for donations, though they said it seemed like a scam. Regardless, that doesn't change the fact that he tried to—
Doesn't change the fact that your mom's a terrible mom for leaving her child at 9 years old alone at home.
get into our house where he knew a little boy was home alone. I still think about that night every year around Christmas when I see Santa decorations. I just remember being 9 years old and knowing that man on our porch was not Santa and that he wanted something else.
Bro, why do you keep leaving kids alone? Doesn't make sense. All right, let's look at the comments. All right, how bad of a parent do you have to be to not believe your child when they say they were almost kidnapped? They're talking about the second story. I don't know, man. That second story is a bit sus. I can't really talk about that one. You know, a kid might be tripping. Imagine telling your parents you were almost kidnapped and then they're saying you're lying. I don't know, man. That second story is just too trippy. The parents in the second story pissed me off of the constant brushing off the kid concerning fears. Could have ended so much worse. Again, second story is just tripping. I can't comment on it much because the story is just so out of whack. And it sounds like the kid really is just tripping, you know? And hiding some context. You know, went to the stadium, got basically kidnapped into a private alone area with a dude, with a much significantly older man. He somehow just ran away back to his brother. Brother didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. Parents have no idea what's going on. Again, context is missing extreme because how old is the older brother? And how old is the father? Oh, no, how old is the older brother? Because technically in that story, you can't really blame the kid. It's more like blaming the father or the brother. Again, depending on how old the brother is, because if the brother's old, he should have, you know, grabbed the 6-year-old's jacket and not let him wander off. Duh. But if the older brother was like 10 years old, 11 years old, 12, 13, 14, then the father shouldn't have left him. So again, without context, it's hard to blame. It's either the brother's fault, if he's old enough, or it's the father's fault completely for leaving his 2 sons alone. Right? And then of course I can understand the POV from the parents because again, context is how old the brother is or not, but let's just assume that the brother is old, like an older brother, significantly older brother, then it's the brother's fault for not saying anything. I also get his POV because, you know, if you told your parents that you left your little brother and he got kid, like, you'll be dead. Selfish, I guess. Again, though, the probability of the man from the stadium to the man in the truck to the man handing out missing dog flyers, the probability of those 3 men being completely different people each time is a high probability because this kid's 6 years old, he tripping. And, you know, nothing really bad happened except for that some reason there's like 1 year later a note appeared, which is definitely... That is... I mean, of course the note at the end of the year is tripping, right? But at that point, it's like, it's been a whole entire year and I don't know what you've been doing, but it's hard to talk about the second story because a 6-year-old kid tripping, don't know, man. The flashlight and everything. The excuse people come with to not call 911 in these stories make me so mad. The first story was dumb. So basically, if you have a forest in your backyard, you're highly likely... Yeah, if you have a forest in the backyard, have like a fence or something, right? I wouldn't... It's just easy access. The mother in the 4th story was a breath of fresh air after the parents in the 2nd story didn't believe the other kid. But what could the other... No, you can't compare the 2 parents from that one. You can't compare the parents from the 4th story to the 2nd story because those scenarios are completely different. Scenarios are completely different. The parent in the 4th story is actually more retarded, I think. Yeah. Parent in the 4th story is more retarded because, well, she left her child at home alone. The parents in the 2nd story actually pissed you off. Why would a kid make it up? He's 6'2". But again, the kid's tripping, right? Like, what? Reminder, the kid only told him like, what, a day after or like a year after? Let's go back. I want to make that clear.
Normal. To go check his car. A shadow for fun. My family came. They said it was just a man handing out lost dogs. They didn't find anything. And since I was a kid, they didn't believe me. They said it must have been a shadow from a car, but I know what I saw. On New Year's Eve, a couple days later, we were staying up until midnight till the bell rang. And I was 100. I told them at the game he brought me to the high. I told my parents, but they didn't believe me. I didn't pay attention.
3 days after the game, you mentioned that you got kidnapped.
As we drove home, I was so loud I almost... Same man driving a truck with maybe 3... I turned around, and there he was. The same man driving a truck with maybe 3 other men inside. I couldn't tell...
I don't know, man. 6 years old. The story really just sounds trippy. Mind you, look. He fell asleep in the car. Woke up to a loud honking. He looked into the other car, and apparently the same man from the stadium's in a truck. It just doesn't make sense. He has to be tripping.
So loud. The same man, but the men just stayed. Night, I woke up with chills. I noticed a light flashing at my window. I looked out, expecting something innocent, Santa Claus or something, but instead saw that man standing out there, shining a flashlight into my bedroom window. I screamed and ran to my parents' room, telling them someone was at my window.
I sense a discrepancy in this story because
Oh.
so he's flashing a flashlight at your window, right? How can you tell it's the same man? How do you... Is there light shining on his face? Is there light shining on his face? You know what I mean? Because how can you exactly see someone's face when it's like this? Can you see my face? No, you cannot. How do you know it's the same man? How can you see the facial expression? You see this at midnight. It's midnight and a flashlight is shining in your room. How do you see the man? Can you see my face? No, you can't. That's why I disapprove of the second story, because the kid has to be tripping, right? Like, how do you know it's the same man? He's got a flashlight in your room pointing at you. How can you see his face? You guys can't even see my face. You can't even see my face. How do you know? How can you see me? I even got lights in my room above me. How can you see me? You can't. So, therefore, that just instantly proves that this second kid's tripping. Second kid's tripping. Alright, I don't care anymore. Alright. Who cuts down a Christmas tree in the dark? Facts. Okay. Constantly brushing off your... Oh, shut up. I don't want to hear about the second story anymore. Everyone here sucks. Imagine those cops in the third story helped them out. Then arrested them for cutting down a tree. Trying to cut down a tree. The forest is never silent. How clueless do you have to be to ignore every red flag your kid's literally waving in your face? Story 1, okay. It's so when the parents don't believe the kids. I don't believe the kid. I don't care. Is there anything else? Why would you go out at the night to cut down a tree? That's nuts. First story, why are you not calling the... Yep. First story, guys, dumb. Parents in the second story makes me want to scream at the top of... what? Hey, true. This comment here. If my kid is hiding from possible intruders, I would not be bringing in groceries at first. Yep. I mentioned that as well, but with the context later on saying that she saw the guy in a Santa suit walking away, I guess that kind of that's kind of like a all right, well, guy's gone, right? But at the same time, yeah. The discrepancy got cleared out the moment they mentioned that context. All right, so what do we learn from these videos? Well, first of all, first story, which we talked about yesterday, keep an eye on a person in front of your house. All right, cool. You know, don't be so dumb. Don't hide in your room and quarters thing, whatever. Okay. Second story, the lesson really, just really, it's a hard story. This hard lesson, to be honest, because there's not really anything anyone could do except, you know, blame the older brother for leaving his little brother, right? But besides that, parents didn't really do anything wrong, unless the father. Okay, it's the father's fault if the brothers were too young, or it's the older brother's fault if the brother was old enough. Okay. Besides that, though, nothing else they could have done to, you know, not believing your kid about being kidnapped in a game. It's hard to blame the parents, kind of, because kid's story doesn't make sense. He must be tripping, right? Hard to believe that second story. Not really any lessons there, except just don't let your kid wander off, right? Third story. Yeah, probably. I would say the third lesson in the story, the lesson would be, if you are not comfortable going there alone, bringing your wife and child to the same scenario is like most stupidest decision, right? If you're too afraid to be there alone, like a man, then why would you think bringing two liabilities of you is a smart idea? No. So obviously that's just a no, right? I mean, I can't really... You can blame them for going at nighttime to cut the tree, but at the same time, me, myself, I would do that. I would probably, like, go out in the middle of the night with an axe and just, look for a tree or something. I don't know. But that's something I would do, right? I would probably go out at nighttime in the middle of the woods with an ex chilling, right? But I definitely wouldn't bring... Yeah, but wouldn't bring two liabilities, right? So yeah, just... I think the main lesson for the third story is just... If you're not comfortable being there alone, don't bring two liabilities with you, because that's just even more retarded. Okay? Fourth story is... kind of the same as the Home Alone stories. It's just Christmas themed, but, you know, don't leave your kid alone. So, obviously that's the mother's fault for leaving her 9-year-old son at home to go get groceries. Like, just bring the kid along with you. Yeah. And that's really all the lessons you could really think about for these stories, yeah. Yeah, so those are the stories. Those are the lessons, and yeah, you can't really extract any more lessons from these stories besides just don't leave your kid at home alone. You know, don't, if you're not comfortable being alone in the scenario, don't bring your wife and child. And maybe be a little bit brave for the third story. Depends. Really depends. Second story, again, really can't find any lessons there. You really can't find any lessons there. At all. I mean... Second story, if you had appearance and the kid said that he got kidnapped at the game, you could kind of like... You know, maybe go back in the game and like look at the security cameras, right? You could do that. But even the kid said himself that after the incident of being kidnapped, him and his little brother, him and the older brother said nothing for like 72 hours plus before finally mentioning.
So I walked. I was tired. In room. Tell as a kid, they didn't. Someone was at. They didn't find a New Year's Eve thing, and since I was a kid, they didn't believe me. They said it must have been a shadow from a car, but I know what I saw.
You see, if that, I mean, you can't really blame the kid, but like at the same time, after the flashlight incident at the middle of the night, the kid didn't even mention he got kidnapped until a couple days later. So, yeah, just the second story just really can't make sense, right? It really just doesn't make sense, because again, with the flashlight logic as well, right? If the man was really, how can you even know it's the same man? Because, again, with the flashlight example, you can't even see the face. So how do you know it's him? And the fact that the kid fell asleep during the car ride, hear honking, look over to the truck, and apparently, coincidentally, this is the same guy with like 3 other men. And then what, they tracked you all the way home after a 45-minute drive without your parents noticing. You know, it's like 6 years old telling the story as well, and then all of a sudden 1 year time skip, there's a piece of paper on his window saying that I'll be back. It's just, I don't see how that effort just, don't know. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it for y'all. Just, that was like 1 hour, but that was like 20 plus minutes of story. And also, you know, we don't just consume content, we analyze it and talk about it and try to extract things from the stories. We don't just listen and go, oh yeah, okay. You need to like at least get something out of them, you know? So yeah, appreciate y'all. Might do some ARK now. Alright.